Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight TV edition. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we are working our way through Tales from the Crypt, the anthology series from HBO from the early 90s. This is going to be season 2, episode 14. It's called Lord Berth. Full spoilers for the episode. I've got to admit, I wasn't really liking this one all that much.
Until the end?
Nah, I still say I didn't like it all that
Not at
much.
all.
Uh, I mean, it's not terrible. It's not a really bad episode. It's just kind of dull and uninteresting. And then the ending tries to make it feel more important than it is, I guess. Because it starts. I actually quite like the Crypt Keeper about the start because he's talking about babies and he makes a joke about this should be Tales from the Crib, which I thought was a funny little pun that he made. So that's good. But no, this is a set at a sideshow, a freak show specifically, which was a very weird freak show because it was like the fat lady. What, these people never seen fat ladies before?
That's a pretty common staple of the freak shows.
I know, but she didn't look that fat to me. Like, I mean, she was fat, but she wasn't.
Yeah, in this episode, sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what time period it's set in. It was probably like, you know, when this stuff was more popular in like the 40s or 50s or whatever. That's probably more of a novel thing.
I think it was earlier than that actually. It seemed like pre-Cars kind of time period to me. I don't know. I could be wrong, but
Sure, I mean, super early on, whenever it was, but
yeah.
yeah.
And then they have little people, and that's all fine. And we meet Enoch, the two-faced man, which is their sort of star attraction. And the plot kind of revolves around his father, who's kind of controlling and is awful to him. And the guy who runs the sideshow is like, this isn't working. He keeps running away. You have to do stuff. And this con man kind of overhears the conversation where the owner threatens that he won't keep Enoch on as an act or as a star attraction, and so this guy over here is Dr. Kling, who's played by Mark Rolston, who was in Aliens and went on to be in Shawshank Redemption and a bunch of other things. He's a regular face from around this time period. He was the only actor in this that I really recognise, but he makes him this weird offer. I like his entrance. He has this really cool entrance where he kind of comes in out of the light, like not out of the light. He comes out of the darkness into the light, and he sort of like dips his head in, and it's a really cool little shot. But he's like, right, I've got this thing. I won this in a card game, and he's like, oh, I've got this mummy, this mummy in a coffin. Make this your attraction. Which again, this feels like, is this what you'd show at this kind of this feels like this would be in a museum, certainly.
Again, I'm gonna have to disagree with you because this is the kind of stuff they would parade around in the freak shows. They would have a lot of like, I mean, maybe not mummies per se, but they would have like corpses of stuff. There's that most famous one was the corpse of that Julia, the world's ugliest woman, and her child, which is a pretty interesting story if you've never heard of that.
I have not heard of that. Honestly, I think what I've learned is that I really don't understand freak shows or the appeal of them at all. Like, I don't understand why any of these people want to see any of these things.
It's certainly an antiquated thing. Like you don't really see it now.
Oh yeah, obviously. Now it would be illegal and it would be frowned upon and it would be poor taste. Like,
and they still have stuff nowadays, but I think it's more like people that do stuff as opposed to just are some type of deformity. Like people that eat glass or hammer nails into their nose, like that sort of thing. Like I know there's a famous one down near me near Venice Beach that does it, but yeah, like you wouldn't like capture someone and call them a freak and stuff.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of this. Maybe this is why the episode wasn't doing much for me. Is the whole thing was it was basking in all of this lifestyle and this really old thing that no one should be doing anymore and no one does do anymore, and it just, I don't know. The entire setting of it didn't really appeal to me all that much. And then the plot, that's just also my kind of my problem, is the plot kept, like, it took a while for the plot to get going, and then once it got going, it seemed to happen very quickly. It didn't really feel like it because it just, like, so you think, alright, so maybe now the mummy's there and it's part of the attraction. Enoch, the two-faced man's like, attracted to it. Alright, so Enoch's got a crush on the mummy. That's where the plot's going. And then you find out the mummy was stolen, and the con man Kling, he wanted the jewels, but the jewels are cursed. Anyone who takes the jewels will lose their manhood. How that works for a woman stealing them, I don't know. But if a man takes the jewels from her neck, they lose their
Maybe she'll
manhood.
become infertile or something.
I guess.
I don't know.
Big whoop. Like, oh, what a shame. I mean, it is a shame, but it's not the same. It was implied that if a guy takes them, like, they'll actually lose their junk.
Yeah.
Like, they'll actually lose body parts.
They get castrated.
They have this confrontation. Mr. Sickles, who's the father of Enoch, and the con man. He ends up stabbing the con man and thinks, I'm going to take those jewels for myself. So he goes to take the jewels, and he's going to frame Enoch for the murder. He puts the big shears, the big, clippers in with him, and he tries to take the jewels, and Enoch stabs him with said shears, and then the mummy wakes up, and I'm like, okay, so why did, like, what was the point of the curse? Why did they introduce this curse? There was no reason for it.
I don't know.
Like, I don't get
just
it. Well,
as a means to, I don't know, kill the guy or something, or
but that's not what killed him. Enoch killed him.
yeah, but would he have killed him if he didn't take that, those jewels off? We don't know that.
But it'll have to be cursed, though. You can have him wanting to steal the jewels, and he could just want to take offence to that. Like, because the whole thing is he obsessed with the mummy? He's obsessed with her.
Yeah, but how do we know that that's not like, that wasn't enacted by the curse? Like, if he didn't take those off, Enoch might have not, stabbed him, which presumably he stabs him in the dick. Because that's
Oh yeah,
the garden shears are going.
That's what it looks like. I guess I don't think that's clearly explained though, or brought up. I think its ideas are jumbled.
I disagree. I think it's pretty clear. I think you're maybe overly thinking it.
And then I thought it ended. And then it went till the next day, and it was like the sideshow again. And the presenter who we opened the episode with is like, come in, everyone, come look at our attractions, blah blah blah. And Enoch's not in his cage, and he's all embarrassed, and he's like, okay, fine. And he's like, okay, here's our other star attraction. This is the mummy, blah 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 blah, 4,000 years old, the rest of it. And that's when they find the dead body. And then it fades to black, and I thought, oh, so it's ending here. So this is the second time I thought it was ending. And then 1 year later, I'm like, Jesus Christ, where's this going now? And so the police come to the sideshow, and they explain to the owner of the sideshow, oh, we found something. Someone found something in a cave. So we got a scene of them getting into a cave, and they see Enoch and the mummy lying, caressing each other, looking like they're dead, as if they passed away. And they get grossed out and leave, and then it pans over to a little deformed baby missing his nose, and it's meant to be the Crypt Keeper. And we come back to obviously the Crypt Keeper at the end, and he makes some jokes about being a baby, and this is his origin story. And I'm just kind of like, I didn't really need an origin story for the Crypt Keeper. Thanks, I guess. I don't know. Like, I feel like the whole thing is just this convoluted plot to give us this bit at the end where, oh, it's the Crypt Keeper as a baby. It all happens so the mummy and the deformed guy can have a baby. I'm like, none of the rest of the story was building to that, really.
I think that's just a little capper on the end, though. I don't think that's necessarily like, oh, we have to do this story because we have to get to this little end bit. I think it's just like, just something, a little cherry on top of the sundae.
A shit Sunday.
I disagree. I actually quite like this episode. I thought it was pretty good. It's one I remember from, again, as a kid. And I agree that, like, freak shows are obviously like a, bad institution and, an outdated one, sure. But it is kind of fascinating that, this is something that people used to do and, something that people would go to for entertainment, and I think it makes an interesting setting. I guess just like bottom line, I don't know. I found it interesting. I liked Enoch. I think the story more revolves around him. Kind of like in the beginning, you see him trying to escape his cage. He's obviously being held against his will. He wants to have like a normal life, and I think that's part of where the mummy comes in. He has this weird attraction to it, which I think is odd but kind of charming in a way.
I think that's kind of why
And
I think that's kind of why it feels for me though, is because I can see
mm,
that that's kind of what they're going for, but so much of the runtime, so much of the actual episode is away from him because it has to set up all the other stuff with his dad, with the con man, and like where's the mummy come from, the car. Like it spends so much time setting all that stuff up that I
mm,
don't really feel like you can spend enough time with Enoch to actually give him the arc where you
mm,
care about his wanting a normal life and what like all you really get with him is being treated badly in one scene at the start, and then the scene with the little girl where he like gets given the doll. They bring up that he's attracted to the mummy, and I don't know. It feels like underdeveloped. Just it feels a little bit thin.
I think that's a fair point, but at the same time, I don't think that's totally unusual for this show. I think, especially given the runtime, a lot of times we do have these sped up storylines. It feels like
We do, but
you know.
I almost wish
But,
that they like. I don't think they have to explain all the stuff they actually explained. Like
mhm,
you could let some of it just be like you could have it just be Enoch. We see him being treated poorly, and then the mummy's just a new attraction that comes in. We don't really need a plot for
mhm,
why he's there or the con man necessarily. Just mummy shows up. That's the new attraction. Enoch falls for it. We develop that along the episode, and then either his dad, if we have his dad, or we have just like a mean character that's been treating them badly, try and steal the jewels, and that's when he comes out and attacks them. And it could just be about him using this to escape with her and just set up that. But I feel like they introduced all this other stuff, like oh he actually stole the mummy, oh the jewels are cursed, and it feels like it just takes a time away from the actual human story in the middle they wanted to tell.
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, I get that. I guess it just didn't bother me as much.
I guess just for me, it's more about using the runtime wisely. Like, actually, use the time
Mm,
you've got to develop the key things you actually want to get across. That gives it meaning and makes it impactful. Whereas here, it just kind of felt like it focused on the wrong things, and it left me kind of just
mm,
uninterested in most of the episode. I was just by the end of it, I was just like, I don't really care. It's over now. I'm done. Honestly, for me, this is one of the weakest episodes of the season.
mm. Yeah, I disagree. I don't know. I guess when it comes down to just a matter of taste, if you maybe like this setting, or I I don't know, this stuff is more interesting to you. I also do like the idea of a mummy, which is a weird thing to kind of throw into a mix when, like you said, there's a lot of different stuff going on. I kind of like that it was a weird mishmash of like all this different stuff, though. You have these freak shows and a mummy in a pretty untraditional setting. Usually you'd think it's you know obviously Egyptian, but I feel like a lot of the times the mummy story you think of it more, yeah, in a museum or aristocracy or something, and to have it in this kind of rural setting is, I don't know, strange, but it worked for me. um Also, a weird thing. I think this is just me, but did you watch Tales from the Crypt? I forget if that was not Tales from the Crypt. Did you ever watch X-Files?
I seen season one of X Files. It's been on my to do list to watch the rest of it, but
I don't know if anyone wants to mention in the comments if I'm crazy, but for some reason I kept thinking that this reminded me a lot of an X-Files episode, and I can't remember which one. I think there was one with the freak show, and I thought it had like a mummy or something in it, but I could be just completely wrong, and maybe I was just remembering of thinking of this as an X-Files episode when I was a kid or something. I don't know, but I would be interested in if anyone knows what the hell I'm talking about.
it's been a long time. It's not surprising if you've mismatched details
Right.
of different shows. But so honestly, to wrap up, I wasn't really into this one. Clearly, after my last 10-15 minutes of negativity, it just I don't know. I didn't really latch on to any of the characters. Not that you really. Don't get me wrong. Most Tales from the Crypt characters aren't likable. You know, they tend to be assholes. They tend to be egotistical. They tend to be whatever. Whereas usually though they tend to be fun. Like I get into their ashholeness, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. Like last week, we had the artist who's like drawing monsters that come to life, and he's constantly complaining about his wife. Like he was slimy, but he was fun slimy, and I was kind of wrapped up in the entertainment of it. Whereas here, I was just kind of like, this is all just kind of, this is an awful person, and this is an awful person, and I wasn't quite getting into it in that same way. Didn't have the upbeat nature, I guess, that I typically expect from Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, this isn't a funny one for sure.
No,
Um,
yeah, there was nothing funny about it.
Unless I guess like the little capper at the end is kind of a joke for
Oh, it
maybe some
is.
people, but like,
Yeah.
but I mean, other than that, like you're not uproariously laughing
No,
throughout
I
this
mean,
episode.
obviously the baby at the end's kind of funny. It's like the punchline almost. Like if the rest of it's been all set up and you think it's a serious episode, then
Yeah.
the baby crypt keeper's just kind of the joke in the end. But even if that does make it work for you, it's still only right there at the end. Like you're still going through 20 plus minutes of the plot.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's what's it called? Lower Berth.
Yeah.
It's from Tales from the Crypt. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz. And remember that we'll be back next week with another episode. And also, me and Tim do horror movies every week. We recently did, of course, Rings. You can check that out. We did Don't Knock Twice. We've done a lot of bad movies so far this year, Tim. This
Yeah.
is
It's a tough year.
oof. Hopefully next week we'll bring something nicer. Maybe. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.